Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. I'll interject my financial opinions as we go through it, and if you need help with anything, check out finding-value.com. I dive into the individual companies looking for potential investment opportunities for investments, obviously. I take a little bit longer viewpoint in terms of time frames. I'm playing this commodity bull market. I'm not playing short-term options trading, stuff like that. So this is more of a long-term buy and hold through the entire bull market for big outsized returns. Mayday is the coupon code that we still have right now that is available. So let's dive in. We're going to start with the dollar. The dollar still looks weak. What I see is kind of a move coming up like this. It is angled upward to some degree, and we could still roll on over to the downside. We do have a bearish engulfing here towards the end of it as well, although we are getting support in the short term today. So we ended down 0.13%. The 2-year yield dropping 1.6% still looks a little bit weak, and the momentum is still to the downside. We've got the 10-year yield that is also lower, not as low as the 2-year, and that is continuing to drop, and the momentum is still to the downside. And then the 30-year dropped a little bit less, momentum still to the downside, and we haven't seen a clear turn yet. So they're all in downtrends in terms of yields, and yields are coming off, heading lower. TYX TNX ratio, it's still continuing to head higher. That will be supportive of precious metals going on up, specifically gold that I have seen in history. We've got TLT, which is bond prices, continuing to head higher. I mean, yields were lower today, so they're going to head higher. And that trend is still intact at this time. We've broken out, and it's still trending higher. The US 2-year, 10-year is uninverting still, and that does look like it will continue to uninvert. We are below the 1-to-1 relationship where the 2-year has now fallen under the 10-year, 3.587 versus 3.659. And this is us going through that uninversion of the yield curve, and the potential slowdown or slowing of the economy is occurring. We are going through it. Sometimes, if this were to really drop, that's when things start to accelerate in terms of slowdowns or potential selling pressure in the market. Gold looking really good today. We are up $30 an ounce, and it is broken out of this pattern that I've got there. We've got a nice big bullish engulfing yesterday. Looks really strong to continue higher. Now, there is the possibility that it could do a retest or some sort of consolidation after this breakout. It doesn't have to do that, but sometimes it does. Silver up 3%. That's also ripping through its breakout here. Nice gigantic candlestick on the weekly candlestick. And I do think that this could go way higher in a very short period of time. I know some people were asking me about silver stocks and stuff like that. But all I'm going to say is, guys, silver, I think, is going to continue higher. Yeah, it might not be straight higher, and we could get a little bloody nose or a couple days pullback, but for the most part, when silver breaks, it generally runs pretty quick, sometimes very quick. Platinum also higher. We are getting closer and closer to this downtrend, and I like the big weekly candlestick that we got. We can also throw in a little bit of a break. We'll draw it kind of like this. I can square it up right. Which is kind of a falling wedge pattern that we've broken to the upside. So that looks really good. And hopefully the momentum can continue. Palladium up 2.45%, putting in one gigantic bullish engulfing candlestick. Whenever you get these big green candlesticks and then you see the small selling pressure, that's what a bottom looks like. Coming right into a big bullish engulfing, yeah, this could easily go higher with palladium here. GDX rocking it. Great week this week, and it's playing with a new high here, which is good. Which is good. So that looks really strong. And again, let's hope next week we keep the momentum going. GDXJ also starting to break through that resistance line. We're up above it. That's good. We had higher lows coming up through here, and it looks fantastic. And we've broken that. If you were to draw a trend line there, everything looks good. Looks very good. And this could move dramatically over the next however long, few months, years, um, however long you want to look at it. And then SILJ up 4.15%. I think we're going to break out of this pattern completely and just rip for a while. Now, I could be wrong. I could be wrong, and maybe it takes a little bit longer than what I have expected. But I'll just say the setup looks really good to continue higher. Looking at XAU to gold ratio, we're seeing this also outperform. We have broken through the downtrend. So a lot of people on the website, you guys know this. I said when we break through this downtrend line, I'm going to get ultra bullish. We broke through it down here, and what were we doing? Gold, gold, silver, gold, mining companies, blah, 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 for a good time because it didn't just rip immediately. We kind of broke through it, and this is months. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 months here where we had great opportunities to pick and choose what we wanted in some of those companies. It doesn't mean that I have all the answers. Doesn't mean that I get all of the best companies. There could be some that I miss, which is very possible. But I think we've got a lot of good ones. And then what we have to do is sit and do nothing, and wait for all this to kind of unwind to the upside. So that's gold and silver mining companies versus gold, and a great opportunity here. How cheap gold and silver mining companies really are. Crude oil up 0.36%. There's the candlestick we got today. Not a great looking one, but it's not horrible. Is this trying to bottom out? Is this a false breakdown? Well, if I were to bring that up, everyone on Twitter is saying that oil is going to $40 or $50. Everyone. Every single one tells me that we are going to $40 or $50. Makes me think that this is a false breakout and that we are actually going to slingshot to the upside. That's still in the back of my mind. Yeah, the uninversion of the yield curve, yeah, all that other stuff. Liquidity is on the rise. Liquidity is demand for oil. So we'll see where this goes. I'm going to remain pretty open. We do have some pretty big red candlesticks, and the greens haven't really showed up yet. So I'm open to see where this goes. But the negative sentiment is everywhere on oil. Everywhere. Looking at TTF gas up a little bit. We're basically right on support. And we are squeezing to some degree into a corner. So it looks like we could potentially break to the upside here. Natural gas in America down a little bit, down 2.4%. Still above support. Does look a little bit like a double bottom that we're breaking out of. Our boy XOP, yeah, you know me, we're up 1%. We're not getting the big green candlesticks yet. I'd like to see it. We did get a bottom here, and we're coming on up. It's a pretty weak bounce. So maybe the bearishness is warranted. Perhaps we fall further to the downside. Or maybe demand is stronger, liquidity in the system stronger than what most people think, and the green army shows up. Don't know yet. We'll have to wait and see. OIH also just moving sideways. Not necessarily a bullish pattern yet. Could be a inverted flag pattern with more downside potential. We've got Newcastle coal up just a little bit. Again, we're above big time support underneath us at 102, which is a little bit below us, but just moving sideways. We've got Sprott Physical Uranium Trust down 2% or so. We're still at that resistance line. Some people are pretty frustrated with uranium. I think where the frustration comes from, it's from a couple of things. It's from having an expectation that we are just going to go straight higher. And then these big pullbacks, I think, really grind people out. So it's their expectation of how high it will go and in the time frame that they create in their mind. What I do is I just don't have a time frame. Screw it. And if it takes a little bit longer, okay, it's fine. There's nothing that I can do to control the move of the uranium market and other people running into this sector. But this is still squeezing up. It still looks good. Uranium futures pricing just moving sideways, down 0.06% in the dead period. We've got URA down slightly, a little bit of a bearish candlestick. I don't. When you get to the bottom of these, the bearish candlesticks, these small little ones, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I've seen the probability of success diminish. So you might just see a small little pullback like that, not a reversal candlestick that puts you to new lows. But again, it is there. It could happen, and we'll just have to wait and see. We also have URNM getting a little bit of selling pressure today, and URNJ a little bit of selling pressure. Down 4.8% is a little bit of selling pressure for URNJ, and how volatile this stock really is. But we're at support. Support's all through here. We have lots of buyers. You're probably going to get support through here, which we did, and we'll see if it holds. But there's going to be recessionary fears, people worrying about the yield curve uninverting, and maybe there's a false flag event that they throw on top of this at some point in the next 6 months or something. Could be. Looks like we have copper price continuing higher. It looks okay. Broken through the downtrend to some degree. We've got COPX up 1.17%. I read some articles about Q4 being a deficit quarter out, next quarter, because we're in Q3 now. So that's very possible that some of these deficits really light up copper to the upside. Iron ore basically moving sideways. We've been doing that for a little while here. It looks like it's trying to bottom out. We'll see if it's successful in the short term. Aluminum getting a big move here. 2.6% higher. That's pretty big for aluminum. Oh my goodness. And we've just been tracking sideways here. Like, this is probably the slowdown right here. The slowdowns come, they're doing all this fiscal spending, and some of these base metals have just been moving sideways. I got a lot of stuff on this chart here. Nickel up 2.35%, and it's trying to base out here. Momentum is still to the downside, though. This could be a continuation pattern lower. So I'd wait, see what we got over the next few months. Moo up 1.15%. I do think this one looks really good. We're back to support. I like a lot of the buying opportunities there, and I do think we'll go higher. This looks really good. It looks like it's just squeezing up here on support, and we'll see if it can turn. Emerging markets up, and I do think emerging markets can get some legs underneath it eventually, if those yields in dollar continues to drop like it has been. KRE up 2.7%. That's looking good, and I think this will help if mortgage rates fall. We could see this work its way on up eventually with the housing market. TAN up 1.35. It likes the weaker yields. Just kind of chopping sideways with a slight tinge of lower. You can see that these are all kind of angled downward. Those are generally bullish, though. When you have a pattern that's angled downward, generally means you're going to move upward. And we're getting some big green candlesticks in here, too. So it doesn't look too bad. It looks like things are changing here a little bit. Lithium down 1.4%. Still haven't broken that trend line I'd like to see. REMX, same thing. I'd like to break and make a new high. We haven't done that yet. And Baltic Dry Index down a little bit. But again, this looks good. We're up above major support, sideways to higher. XHB up 3.3%. Wait, I thought we were in this housing market was just going to crash. I thought we were in this huge bubble. Why is this going up? Why is this going up, guys? The bubble guys, why is this going up? Put it in the comments section. Why are home builders going up when in 2005 and 6 we were going down in home builders before that crash? It's because we're not going to have a crash. And I think what it's doing is it's front running the decline in interest rates and mortgage rates, and that this will probably spur more home builds. That's my guess, but we got to see it in the data. We need a couple months worth of data to see if lowering rates spurs the housing starts higher. Russell 2000 up 2.5%. We're breaking through these past couple trading days that support resistance line. We're staying above it, looking good. S&P 500 up a little bit. Plunge protection team ripping it. And the NASDAQ also higher. Plunge protection team hitting these two. We got to keep the people in the financial assets. If this money starts to rotate into commodities. It will be seen in the consumer price index, and it will hurt people that live paycheck to paycheck. They got to keep people over here at all costs for as long as they can, but they won't be successful, in my opinion. SMCI, big selling pressure move lower. We are up a little bit today, but again, I don't trust it down here, guys. This is not a bottom. Bottoms take time. What you want to see in a bottom, let me see if there's a bottom that yeah, you want to see something that's breaking like a trend line like this. That's a good spot to be looking for this move higher. You don't want to be buying stuff if it's coming. You've got big selling pressure at the top, and it could be coming on down like that, where you get these, inverted head, head and shoulders pattern or something like that. So your risk reward's a little bit skewed with too much risk and not enough reward, in my opinion. NVIDIA also has that same trait, the risk reward. It's had a pretty big run. Could it go higher? It could. It could. But I just don't like the dynamics here. But today we were down a little bit today, and you got these big bearish engulfing candlesticks. Looks bearish to me. They're all over the place. All over the place. We've got Bitcoin up 2.7%. That liquidity coming into the system, this might go a little higher. Ethereum also up 2.27. And these are downward facing patterns. So those are generally continuation patterns to the upside. That's what I see in both of these, Ethereum and Bitcoin. So that's what I've got for today, guys. Give me a thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website if you guys are interested in how to play the precious metals bull market, both gold and silver, or energy, or any other commodities. I look at fertilizers. I look at all that stuff. I'm a longer term investor. I look for entry points. My entry points are generally at bottoms, and we'll go over that this weekend. What's a good entry point? Why is it a good entry point? I think somebody was going to ask me questions about what provides a company big leverage. What are some things that I might look at? Why are some companies more leveraged than other companies? I've gone over it a little bit in history, but we can go over it again, and I'll give you the basic breakdowns of what I look at. But generally, you can see it in the charts to some degree. Right? A lot of the stuff is seen in the charts. Then you can look at the fundamentals and you can line it up with certain things. But that's what I've got for today, guys. So we'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.